What's going on, Jeromes? Happy Wednesday. I had to double check what day it actually was because that's how it be quarantine. So, welcome back in. We're doing our daily live stream. Thank you very much, Jeromes, for coming along. Light it up from this in the live chat. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always a good time there. And also, if you're watching on demand, bully on you as well. So, we're going to talk about April Fool's Day, which is probably my least favorite holiday. Like maybe Arbor Day. You know what you did. Screw you, trees. As well as we got some Q&A too. Plus, we'll talk a little draft. We'll run a mock draft through the mock draft simulator, etc. So we'll do that up. And again, thank you very much for coming along, supporting the work. This is always a lot of fun. Plus, if you wanted to become a monthly or platinum Jerome, hit that little join box down below. Find out how you can help support independent media as we keep rising up and growing and showing. Rising up. Do. It's a good time. So one of the reasons why I don't like April Fools. Well, first off, you're deceiving people. So, yeah, here. Plus, there have been a couple Corona-related April Fools jokes out there so far. That's not good. Yeah, I generally don't take myself too seriously, but when it's something like Rona, yeah, don't do that. Yeah, maybe don't do that. But also, so I didn't like the Greg Jennings signing. I really didn't when the Vikings signed him, where you're inking up a 30-year-old wide receiver to his second big contract, and you're just hoping to squeeze a little bit out of his mind grapes. I didn't like it. I really did not care for it. Richard Wilson, who's a monthly Jerome, Webster City, Iowa, big shout out there. So when Greg Jennings did this, you guys may remember this. So April 1st, 2015. Actually, hold on. Thank you, Greg Jennings, because that's where we go for all of our news. All right, so Greg Jennings. All right, so yeah, this was after he was done being a Viking. All right, because he was a free agent afterwards. So Greg Jennings how old was he in 2013? 7. So, all right, so 29, 30 years old. Vikings ink him up to a 5-year, $47.5 million deal with $18 million guaranteed. I mean, that's a damn decent wide receiver contract now, right? So I was just. I didn't care for it, right? So then the Vikings cut his ass. And then April Fools, this is what it was. So he was a free agent. And, of course, I mean, this time in 2015 is right in the thick of free agency. So, oh, yeah. Forgot Bruce Irvin joked that he got a DUI, which is... all right, so at 5:35 the day before April Fools, he tweets out, "Done deal." Yeah, which you would think, oh, it's free agency. Oh, this also isn't April 1st yet, so it's not April Fools. Great and wonderful. And then Jennings, has there ever been a professional athlete break the news of where he's signing via social media? Well, Greg. Yeah. Attention media outlets and influencers, there will be no leaks inside the Jennings camp. You will all find out at the same time as the fans. I mean, how excited are you to land a 32-year-old wide receiver who's been cut thrice? All right, so tonight, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that means midnight Central Time. And Greg Jennings I actually think he still lives in Minnesota, by the way. Twin Cities. Yeah, for good reason. So that's, of course, midnight. So that means, of course, April Fools. After much discussion, I've decided this fall I'm taking my talents to... Actually, don't think this link works anymore because of score. And all it was a video of him saying, April Fools. Get out of here. I mean, just get the hell out of here. I'm glad we cut your ass. Also, you weren't that good. I mean, when we're dreaming about the good old days of Mike Wallace. Great. Yeah, because still, it always comes back to Teddy. It's like, hey, Teddy, here's Norv, an antiquated offensive coordinator whose style absolutely does not fit your skill set, as well as here's your running back one in 2020, Matt Asiata. Great. Also, here's their left tackle, Matt Khalil. Also, hey, here's your wide receiver core. I'm the corpse of Greg Jennings, the corpse of Mike Wallace, Charles Johnson. Yeah, he's a wide receiver one, and Cordero, who can't run routes. But other than that, great. Joel Rare, $5 in the super chat. Big shout out to you man. Heart you. So that's why I don't like Greg Jennings. Also, if you remember score, so it was this jabroni ass like sports media thing. Whatever. So Favre was involved. Other executives, and eventually they got sued. Investment firm alleges Favre and other score execs claimed athletes were using the platform when they weren't and misrepresented users, traffic, and potential deals. So basically, they were trying to create a social media platform for athletes, and it was terrible, and no one used it. So, I don't know. It is what it is. So that's why I don't like April Fools. It's a really long way of going about. Oh, I will say, though, when I was a kid, all right, so I was a little shit as a kid. And I remember one year so my grandma's car, which is, of course, like a Buick Park Avenue, which was every grandma's car, right? So what I did was very simple and ingenious, IMO. So I took a coin. It was a pretty big coin. It was like a silver dollar or something. And I put it in remember how cars used to have slots for like maps? I mean, back when paper maps. So on the driver's side door, there's a little slot for, it was like maybe like 10 inches long. I put that coin in there and it was empty. So when she sped up, the coin went, and when she braked, the coin went, and it took her like a week. She couldn't figure it out. And she actually had to take the car into I was like 6, by the way. She had to take the car into the mechanic. She was like, what is wrong with my car? And then they found it. And then this is like April 7th. And then she's like, did you put a coin in my car? I'm like, April Fools. She was not happy. Man, I love my grandma, though. R.I.P. So anyways, we got Q&A as well as we're talking documentaries. So I have not gotten all the way through Tiger King, which I actually don't think I have to because I've seen the highlights. I mean, there is no like definitive answer. There is nothing like that. But man, Carol definitely killed her husband, by the way, and fed him to the tigers for sure. I mean, the whole sardine oil thing when she's asked like, how do you feed tiger to human? Put sardine oil on or something like that. That's way too specific. That is oddly specific and very incriminating. So, I think Netflix is really smart. I actually think that they just have all these things in the bag that are just releasing them at the right time. Well, they lucked out with Ozark because that's when it was supposed to come out. But I feel like there's a couple of other docs that they just have in their back pocket that they know is like, all right, if this thing goes along, we're going to keep people tied to us. Not like they need to drum business at this point. But also, all right, so we complained that the 30-part Chicago Bulls documentary. I just pulled that up. Documentary, which that they announced like 2 years ago, right? About the Bulls and actually, no, I don't want. No, I can't play that on YouTube because we'll get kicked off. Oh, please don't kick us off YouTube. I just want some. I don't want that. All right, bring up this report. So they announced like last summer about this big time documentary that was eventually going to be coming out. And for me as a kid, I really love basketball. I love and respected the Bulls. Of course, Jordan is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. It's not really that close. But that team was really interesting because I remember as a kid, just I was able to go to a Bulls game against the Wolves, and the Wolves are bad right then. But it was a sellout crowd at Target Center. It was a great game. I mean, MJ at his freaking peak. Also, of course, Jordan and the shoes we all know about. But, man, pretty excited about that. So now they're releasing it in April. When I say release it now, because we don't even know if we're going to be here on April 19th, man. But I'm excited for that. But put out to you guys. We'll talk about documentaries a little bit. So, trying to think. Documentaries that I love or the ones that are really eye-opening to me. Nah. So the O.J. Simpson Made America one. I'm really big into the 30 for 30s. The U was phenomenal. Pony Excess was great. The Best That Never Was, the one about the marvelous Marcus Dupree from Oklahoma. That one was really good. The mini doc that they did about the Herschel Walker trade, even though it hurts. It was really informative. The Two Bills was great. Frankly, any football related for 30 for 30 or any NFL Network America's Game or A Football Life, I'm in. I'm fully in. Like get a chance. The Dexter Manley, who was DN from Washington back in the day. The one about him, The Football Life, where it's like this man graduated from Oklahoma State University and could not read. He was functionally illiterate as an adult. I mean, How does that happen? How does that? I mean, sure, that's an indictment on the whole student athlete model, but wow, that's just crazy to me. But so that's why I'm in on. All right, let's get to some Q&A. Love you guys. Also, keep lighting up that live chat. Also, let us know where you're watching from, and we'll give a couple of shout outs there. All right, so first up, Trey Stallings. The two best documentaries I've ever watched are OJ Made in America and The Devil Next Door. What is The Devil Next Door? There we go. So we'll look that up. And of course, if you're new to this show, half of this is just me Googling things. Cleveland grandfather's about trial and joke. Oh, I should definitely watch that one. Before into that, but yeah, the OJ Made in America. At first I was like, why is it so long? But then I got into it, and every little piece made sense. And a couple months ago, I was really into like an OJ binge. I don't know why, but I was watching OJ Made in America nearly on loop as like background noise while you're working and stuff. And also the OJ show from FX, American Crime Story, which was phenomenal, by the way. Except I just couldn't get over why Cuba Gooding Jr. was pretending to be OJ. Yeah. Husgamer15, have you watched the Aaron Hernandez doc on Netflix? And who's your favorite player on the T-Wolves? Player on the T-Wolves right now? Probably Cat, I guess by default. The Aaron Hernandez doc is really good on Netflix, where it's clear that they're trying to work an angle in there, and you're trying to drum up sympathy, as pretty much all the true crime documentaries are from the point of view from the accused or the party that's found guilty. So you always keep that in mind. But some really interesting stuff with Hernandez, where I was wondering too, statistically. All right, so I'm good at math. 90 times 32. All right, so as soon as 90-man roster is going to be filled out, that's 2,880 NFL players. Now, statistically, I mean, one of them had to commit murder, right? All right, because Hernandez not only played in the league, he signed a massive extension after, well, allegedly or actually like murdering some people, right? So you would think that a lot of these players, I mean, just by sheer numbers, right? Also, they're young men, which are overwhelmingly responsible for the number of murders in the United States. There's something about young men. That's why I'm glad I'm an old man now. But I mean, come on. Or, I mean, someone accidentally, like, you punch someone at the bar, then later on, like, they died due to injuries. Maybe something like that. I don't know. These are things that keep me up at night. Next up, Jacob Sly. With the roster as is, how would you feel about target share of, all right, Thielen, Irv, BC, Dalvin, Rudy, Tajay, other, Bradbury. All right, so the roundabout way of saying Irv Smith should be more involved. I agree. I actually think that he is due for a nice little breakout season because Vikings running multiple tight end sets. Irv working out of the slot as well, just trying to generate some sort of downfield passing game. I think Irv working the middle of the field on seam routes, sexy time. It really is. Next up, Zack Ballast, do you have a P.O. box? If not, would you consider getting one? I have, because some Jeromes have been thinking about sending me stuff, but also I don't want to give them my home address because, do you plan on going to any games this season? No. Well, A, Rona. B, I don't go to games anyway. We've been over this. I like watching games in the studio at home. I've got multiple TVs, sweat my fantasy teams, sweat my, for entertainment purposes, only wagers. Smoke some meat. The bathroom is 10 feet away. And also I don't have to, jockey for positioning with a 350-pound Packers fan. Oh, sorry. I repeat myself. So a Packers fan? Nah. Mordecai. Ever since the rumor about the Vikings trade out for Jerry Jeudy, I've been hooked on the idea what teams would need to pass to get him. So, the problem that I had with the Vikings at 14 is that if you trade up to 14, you still might not get your guy, especially in the wide receivers. So the Jets clearly could be on a wide receiver. I mean, there probably should be on an O-line because I think they'll be in play for one of the top 4 tackles. But, I mean, they're the Jets. Raiders, clearly would need some wide receiver help as well. Also, San Francisco, I think, could be in the market for a wide receiver. So, I mean, and also the Broncos also getting some help opposite of Cortland Sutton. So, that's what sort of struck me as weird is that if the Vikings really wanted to get up and get a Lamb, get a Judy, even like a Ruggs, 14 may not get it done because 11 through 13 could go wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. It really could. So then, if you trade up beforehand, before draft night, which I think could be stupid, why? But also, if it goes wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, chances are there will be a very good offensive lineman there. Maybe even C.J. Henderson gets the 14, or like a Javon Kinlaw is there. Sure, why not? Next up, Richard Wilson. Love this fan speak draft. Yeah, man. Also, Richard Wilson's a monthly Jerome. You should join up. Hit that join box down below. Must see docs on Netflix. Evil Genius and Don't F with Cats. Yeah, I saw the Cats one. Yeah. I've as I've gotten older, I've become more of a cat person. Obviously, still love dogs. Also, one of our dogs passed away a couple weeks ago, but of course, he was 16 years old. I mean, that's a hell of a run. Yeah, but he would have loved to see the Rona. But I like cats. Isaiah Lammy. What if we extend Harris and trade Harrison Smith while he still has some trade value? That is some stank. That is some. Woo! We could do a video on that and then put out as pure clickbait. I wouldn't do it just because there's been so much turnover on defense. Like I love Anthony Harris. I love the idea of extending him long term. I just think giving up Harrison Smith, where people tie Bard to Zimmer pretty easily, but I mean Zimmer's guy, if you had to pick one, has been Harrison Smith. Like he puts them all over the place. He is the queen of the chessboard, and there's so many things that Harrison Smith does that don't show up in the stat box that make the Vikings defense work. Right? I think he still has 4 or 5 years left of his prime. I would love to extend him, reward him for his great work here, as well as get him under contract for the next 4 or 5 years as well. But I say nah at this point. Like trade value wise, well, we just did the trade value video. I forgot what I said for Harrison. I think I said like a first and a second. Yeah, it's up there. It may even be 2 1s. Cyberbully 123. I really like Cortland Sutton. What would it take for a trade for him or Calvin Ridley? The thing about it is that teams, if they got good young receivers, I mean, you're not gonna trade them unless there is significant issues there, and that usually doesn't come up until there's extension involved. So, I mean, Ridley's a fine 2 in Atlanta, but I think Sutton does have a chance to be one of the next like great big bodied receivers, like Andre Johnson adjacent. I'm good at talking. But yeah, I think Sutton, especially Sutton and Ruggs, I think would be the best combination. Where you got the big-bodied Sutton as well as the speedster and Ruggs. I think that'd be great. If only they had a quarterback. I don't like Drew Lock. Next up, T-Rag. T-Rag's a monthly Jerome. Hit that check mark. Ooh, OG. What's more likely, the Vikings signing Clowney or convincing Everson to come back? B-Rob out of retirement one time for the one time. B-Rob is 0.0%. So he's living the dream. Like he's fishing every day. Plus, if you look at him, it's clearly he's lost a significant amount of weight. So I think that's past. I think the chances of signing Clowney are more likely, but also extremely low. I think signing Clowney is at like 5%. I think re-signing Everson is like 4%. And B-Rob is 0.001%. So you're telling me there's a chance. Spencer Vox. Andy, we need organize a change.org petition to get Colquitt's jersey to say Skolquid. I think he should. Also, I'm surprised that he hasn't trademarked Skolquit yet. Or maybe he has, and we just don't know about it. Like, it's cool when when anyone except for Kirk Cousins does it, right? So when Cousins signed with the Vikings, and then you saw that he put in for the trademark of "you Vike that," that was the biggest. Honestly, if your eyes could roll any farther to the back of your head, you would see the back of your skull. It was one of those moments, right? But yeah, sure, why not? Hayden Ziegler, thoughts on drafting T. Higgins in the first round? I like Higgins, in terms of like the big bodied receiver. He's got a huge catch radius, would be great on the outside, but also I'm much more into the smaller, quicker, get separation type receivers. Guys like Stephon Diggs in the modern era. So that's why I am more attracted to guys like Jalen Reagor or Ayuk in this draft. But also, when we did the video of Kirky needs a tall receiver, man, when I was getting more in depth on Pittman and Claypool to a degree, as well as AGG, I'm just like, all of these guys remind me of Treadwell. And I know it's the wrong way to go about doing things. And, stylistically, that style still obviously has value. I mean, look at Nuke, right? But I don't know. I like Higgins. Yeah. Joe Rare, $5 in super chat. Andy, love what you're doing for the Vikes fan base during the quarantine. Huge fan of the channel and your content you put out. Skull from Ugo. Skull out to you, Joe. Thanks for tossing a couple shekels in the super chat. You are the best. And yeah, I mean, like we said, this is really more of an honor for us. I mean, we get to talk ish about the fan base, not the fan base, well, the team and the fan base sometimes. But it's a lot of fun. It's a nice little side hustle, and that we can provide some value during these interesting times. It's great. So thank you very much for tuning in. Plus, I mean, it's a real time for a lot of people, both with the Rona, both with the economy, etc. So if we can just give, a couple minutes or even an hour of a respite of away from real life, it's what we're here to do, especially no sports, man. I mean, come on. All right. So next up, Homeboyo. Mock drafts are cool and enjoy the simulations, but have you ever thought about hopping on a Madden franchise and giving it a go from there? I mean, maybe, except the problem with me and Madden is that 95% of the time is spent just like building the team or like adjusting the uniforms or importing a draft class. And like 5% is playing. Actually, I don't even play. Salvador Estrada. We love Aaron Fuller and Gabriel Davis. Both have great hands and give me digs as far as contested catches. What do you think? All right, so Fuller from Washington as well as Gabriel Davis from Central Florida. National champion Central Florida, by the way. Yeah, I do enjoy both players. Where you saw it last year, where in retrospect, you were starting to see that maybe they were trying to replace Diggs, because you look at the 7th round receivers and you look at the UDFA. So you look at BC, you look at Dylan Mitchell, you look at Alexander Hollins from Eastern Illinois, you look at Davion Davis from Sam Houston State, all smaller, quicker, get separation type receivers. And I think Fuller and Davis both have a lot of value in this draft as well. So, I mean, late round guys for sure. But, I mean, I say take a couple of shots at wide receiver in this draft. Try to replace Diggs for sure. Also, Salvador Estrada. Any chance you'll do more coaches film? If so, doing it on college prospects you like would be nice. We could do it, but also, I mean, a lot of the college film, I mean, not to go into getting kicked off of the YouTube streams and whatnot, but I mean, a lot of it is copyrighted, but again, so is Game Pass too. But I think it'd be more just like taking shots in the dark. I think after the Vikings get their picks into the barn, so all 12 of them or whatever, then we'll start picking through pick by pick. I think that'd probably be more efficient use of time right now. Husgamer 15, Fulton or CJ Henderson based on fit and talent. I think Fulton would be a great fit with what Zimmer wants to do. I think overall Henderson is a better cornerback prospect. And so for me, there's just something about that man-to-man, just like dogged, determined type cornerback. CJ Henderson is that guy. So for me, Henderson is below Okudah. Okudah is still the clear number 1. Henderson is 2. Fulton's pretty clearly number 3 for what the Vikings want to do here. Johnny Yang Fitness. Oh, also Fulton and Henderson videos coming out tomorrow morning. Johnny Yang Fitness. Who are your top 3 tight ends in the draft and why? Also, Hoop Dreams is a great documentary. Agree on Hoop Dreams. I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, damn, that is a long freaking documentary, but it was great. I mean, Arthur Agee, William Gates getting to Marquette, Arthur Agee getting to, is that Arkansas State? I want to say. Let's look it up. Arthur Agee, Arkansas. Yeah. All right, so Arkansas State, the place where the Red Wolves. Yeah, that's the place where Gus Malzahn was head coach for a year after he left Auburn. All right, so Arthur Agee played 2 years. Average 7.9, 8.3 points per game. But, of course, he's a point guard. Number of assists. It was great. It's kind of fun to see. But, yeah, Hoop Dreams was great. A little bit long. I feel like a little bit long, and it certainly could have been edited down. Like, I honestly would love to see if they did a modern version of that. Or even if they just chopped up old documentary versions of it, or just did a brand new version of it with some high school kids now. Top 3 tight ends in the draft. I haven't done I've done like 0 tight end work on this draft. Well, A, it's a terrible tight end class. B, Vikings don't really need a tight end. Thaddeus Moss, of course, is interesting later on. Let's see, Cole Kmet. Actually, let me look it up. Let's see, who do we like in this tight end class? Oh, well, Chase Claypool, does he count as a tight end? I actually think that in 5 years, Chase Claypool actually will be a tight end. All right, so Harrison Bryant, Florida Atlantic is intriguing. I do like Thaddeus Moss, beyond the name, but I mean, anything more than like a 5th-round pick, I think you're potentially going too far with him. All right, so checking the twitter.com, see if there's any like breaking news, because we're really good at having news broken while we're live on air. Oh, well, Bertie Breer is just complaining about politics. Yeah, you notice that, like some of the national talking heads haircuts, like they really go political in the offseason. But yeah, Joseph Yamarillo, who are your top 5 Vikings players of all time? Well, again, it's always shifts, but Moss 1, Carter 2, Randall 3, Jared 4, Antoine Winfield 5. Preacher Paul, I'm not sure if it's a dock or something else. It's where they drain the oceans with CG technology and see the sea floor. Yeah, I vaguely heard of that or remember seeing something about that on Discovery Channel. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Also, we're talking about exploring space. Let's explore the bottom of the ocean, man. There's a lot of stuff down there. Next up, Homeboy, you're Spielman. Washington calls you and offer you Trent Williams, Scherf for Riley Reeve, Anthony Harris, and a 1st, 2nd overall pick. What are you going to tell them? All right, so Trent Williams, Anthony Harris, Scherf, and 1st rounder and a 2nd rounder. I'd say no. It's pretty close, though, especially for Scherf. Muhammad Abdul Latif. Can you explain the value of either of our 1st-round picks? Trade on how much value can be expecting. Use past examples, please. All right, so an imperfect way to look about draft trades is using the trade chart. So now the trade chart was initially used by Jimmy Johnson back in the day. That's how he fleeced the Vikings. But I mean, trade charts are trade charts. I generally use the one on Draft Tech, looking at trades. Now, matching up numbers, you look at trades that go through the draft, and you can always tell which side initiated contact first because they'll have more value given up, right? So if a team really wants to move up, say we used an example yesterday. So say the Vikings want to move up to 14, 1,100 points. Ironically, or incidentally, the Vikings 22 and 58 picks add up to 1,100 points. Now, if the Vikings were intent on moving up, I think they would actually have to give more than 1,100 points. So maybe it's 22, 58, and say 132. Just a little bit of sugar, because if you're the side asking, if you're the side demanding the supply, you're going to have to give up a little bit more. But, I mean, it's not a perfect science. I mean, different GMs value picks differently, especially future picks, which is quasi unquantifiable just because you don't know exactly where the pick is going to be. Plus the opportunity cost of waiting for a full year for letting that go. But with trades, I mean, if you pull up most of the charts, it'll give you a ballpark figure of what you're looking at potentially trading up. And we talked about how if there's some magical way we could transfer both of the 1st-round picks into 3 top of the 2nd-round picks, which would be commensurate value, roughly 1,500 points on the chart, I would do it just because of the basis of what's available in this draft as well. But good question there. Next up is Alexander Garcia. We get Trent Williams, extend Harris. What's your ideal 1st-round picks? First 2. All right, so how do we get Trent Williams if we extend Harris? All right, so say in this world we give up the high 3, the earlier 3 for Trent Williams, get it done. Or, give up the 2nd-round pick for Trent Williams for sure, whatever. Ideal first two round picks. So left tackle, sutured up, you extend to Harris, that's fine. Cornerback and wide receiver still up there. I mean, for me, if it was Christian Fulton and the cornerback at LSU at 22, and then Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver from TCU, I think got baby, you got Stuga. Damn, I like that. DG Snippets. Personally, I think Jefferson is more polished receiver than Junior Lamb. Whittier takes on Mims over Jefferson. Love you, Andy. Thanks for dishing out great content. I wouldn't agree on the Jefferson being more polished. I think he certainly has a lot of value in the middle of the field. Problem is that he is slot. I think Judy and Lamb have the opportunity to become really dominant outside the numbers wide receivers in the mold of, say, like a Nuke Hopkins, Andre Johnson when he was good back in the day. Mims over Jefferson. For the Vikings specifically, yes. But of course, Mims, you do worry about the hands. He is a great athlete, a great workout warrior as well. I think Jefferson in a vacuum is a better football player right now, but specifically for what the Vikings are looking for, it's close. Well, in that crux, like I would take Jalen Reagor over Jefferson. I would take Higgins over Jefferson. I would take Chenault over Jefferson, but just because I freaking love Laviska Chenault. Don't at me. Yeah. Also, hey, thank you, man, for letting us crank out this content and people absorbing it. Drew Smith, why do you think Jameis and Cam Newton haven't been signed yet? Do you think the NFL just over them? Also, if you've seen it, you should watch Apollo 11 that came out last year. Is the Apollo 11 the doc or the horror movie? It's probably the doc, right? Now check it. I love space. I love space-ish. Every time. All right, so here's my categories for movies that I'm always in on. If it's a heist film, always in. If it's a submarine film, always in. If it's a space film, I'm talking about like NASA type space, not like space like Star Wars stuff, right? I'm always in because they're always good. I don't think Jameis has been signed just because musical chairs and eventually teams were like, no. Also, because Jameis's contract expired. He does factor into the compensatory pick formula, and with a quarterback contract, that is going to ding you pretty big since it's going to be pretty decent sized money. So I think that Jameis may actually wait until after the draft. Cam, I mean, teams are really concerned about Cam's health, and I don't know if he'll ever be the same Cam Newton that he used to be, because it's a lot like Big Ben, where Big Ben and Cam, their early careers were very similar stylistically, where they would stand in. I mean, they're the size of freaking 3-4 defensive ends, right? So they would take a shot, they would keep plays alive, they would play a little bit of schoolyard football, but eventually those shots add up. And you're seeing it with Big Ben's health faltering now. Same thing with Cam. And also going back to Jameis, I mean, he's part of the 30-30 club, right? As I burp. So I don't know about that. Toby Jerome, would you be surprised if we trade up for and got a QB like Love or Herbert? Yeah, I would be really, really surprised, especially if they didn't extend Cousins. I wouldn't be shocked at all. In fact, I would be pretty excited about it. But, man, if they go QB at that spot, it means that they likely turn down offers to trade down, which at this point I would say, nah. And he liked the trials of Gabriel Hernandez. Man, that's too heavy for me. Like, especially with kids, young kids, I can't watch that. Like the wife tried to watch it and she couldn't. Yeah, it's just terrible. It's terrible. Jerome Shalom. Odds that we scoop Tyler Johnson, Thad Moss, and Antoine Winfield Jr. I hope. Also, not really Doc, but just watch Vice, and I was pleasantly surprised. Story of Dick Cheney. Yeah, I thought that was a well done movie. Of course, political point of view was very infused in it, but I think Christian Bale was great in that movie. I thought Steve Carell was awesome as Donald Rumsfeld. Also, I really liked Michael Buquet movies. So he did Vice. He did. The one about the housing crisis. The name escapes me right now. It's a great movie. Damn it. Wiki. Adam McKay. Yeah, I'm an idiot. As soon as I see it, I'm just gonna be dumb. The Big Short. Duh. So Big Short was great. Yeah, obviously he's the guy who did the Anchorman movies, Step Brothers as well. Yeah. Also, Get Hard was actually really underrated. I thought that was really good. Yeah, I know that some people don't like Kevin Hart, some people don't like Will Ferrell, except I just thought it was a really good movie. Yeah. So this would take. So probably Winfield in the second round at best. I mean, some places see him as a first round pick. I think Mache had him in the first round going to the Cowboys. Ooh. TJ third or fourth. Thad Moss, fourth or fifth. Could be pulled off for sure. Elderly Hog. What do you think about Moss to the Vikings in the fourth round? Hell of a hunch you come in Minnesota. Fourth round may be a little bit too high. But also, you look at with David Morgan gone, with Rudy, probably not too long for this team. Probably could use a tight end because I'm not concerned, or I'm not completely sold yet on Gronklin, even though he's got a great name. So, yeah. Amaya Deshpande. Done breakdowns of many of the day one and day two prospects, and today I'm doing interior defensive line. Besides the obvious Brown, Kinlaw, Blacklock, Gallimore, and what guys do you suspect could go in the top 3 rounds? Well, I really like Elliott out of Mizzou. But other than that, I mean, James Lynch from Baylor, I guess, if you consider him an interior defensive lineman. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, let me look now. Got to look at the list. It's almost like there's way too many names to keep track. Yeah. So Jordan Elliott from Mizzou. Let's see. Yeah, you listed A&M, Blacklock, Hunter Bryant, sure. But yeah, it really is, or not Bryant. Still have tight ends up. Hold on. But yeah, Roquan Davis for sure. Roy, Lynch's teammate from Baylor. Leki Fodu. Leki Fodu, just in terms of if the Vikings can get him mid to late day 3, in terms of a backup for, like a true backup 3-4 nose tackle for Michael Pierce. I think that would make a lot of sense. Nose tackle from Utah. So hit that one up. Sam Becker. If we were to sign Logan Ryan, what do you think about his contract would look like? Well, maybe for a year. I think at this point we're looking at the Logan Ryan sign a 1-year contract and then try again next year in free agency sort of spot. So I mean, it would make sense. Like, say the Vikings don't come away from the draft feeling great at cornerback, then pay up a little bit for a guy like Logan Ryan, come in and man the slot. Sure. Joseph Jamario, thoughts on Matt Miller's new post-free agency 7-round mock draft? Oh, well, we have not looked at that. So why don't we take a look? Actually, yeah, that'd be a big part of that. Be a big part of the live streams, just reading mock drafts. In fact, we should just do that today. Actually, wait, I owe you guys a roasting of user-submitted mock drafts. All right, so, Jeff Gladney. I like Gladney from TCU, the cornerback. For Shiz, 25. AJ Epinenza. Espinenza. Screw you guys. Don't own the libs. In terms of going BPA at this point, because all the national media outlets have them going edge because of Everson, but they don't know. They don't know about Afadio Denabo. And let's see here. Who's available at edge? So, yeah. If they're going to take an edge, I would prefer it to be Clason if he actually fell. I'm sort of meh on Espinenza. I'm pretty meh on Gross Matos as well. All right. Hey, at least they don't do the slideshows anymore. 58, Cameron Dantzler, Mississippi State. I like him. He's a touch slow for me. I'm a little worried that he will get exposed at the NFL level, but just in terms of a guy who can like straight up body some wide receivers, not mad at that at all. All right, so they went 2 cornerbacks and a DN. So no wide receiver and no offensive line so far. So we're keeping that in mind. Let's see. Vikings. Another edge rusher. Right, so they bring in the Florida kid. Disagree. Isaiah Hodgins from Oregon State. So, I mean, the first wide receiver that you actually take is Hodgins. Yeah. Let's see who's on the board still for wide receiver. That's always important too. All right, so Gabriel Davis went after the Vikings went back. Duvernay, I'm not in love with, but would prefer at this point. Bowden. Okay, well. All right, round 4. Oh, AGG. Yeah. Well, if they're going this route, it's fine passing on AGG because I don't want him as the first wide receiver off the board having to contribute right away. So, safety Tanner Muse from Clemson, fine. All right, so into the 5th. All right, Anthony Gordon. So, still no offensive line, by the way. So, I'm already disliking this. All right, so 6th round, 2 6th-round picks, right? All right, so Cameron Brown, linebacker from Penn State. Trey Adams for Washington. All right, so finally got on the board with the offensive lineman in the 6th round as Trey freaking Adams, which, if everything works out medically with Trey Adams, sure. But, brosif. All right, Patrick Taylor from Memphis. Zero. Jacob Breland from Oregon, the tight end. Yeah. And also Durant from Mizzou. So, don't like that they went edge early, and also really don't like that they doubled up on edge in the first 3 rounds. This is a whole nother video on itself. I mean, Gladney is fine. Doubling back on cornerback so early when you didn't address offensive line, when you didn't address wide receiver, not so great. So you're coming away with this draft without an immediate day 1 starter on the offensive line. You're coming away with this draft without an immediate day 1 starter at wide receiver. Meh. Good question, though. I mean, that's going to be a whole video. Although Matt Miller may actually respond to that because he likes to lash out at the haters sometimes. So here, looking for demos. Okay, now this is if someone would probably Williams from Washington, if all of our favorite prospects are gone by, say, 16, Herbert and Love are still on the clock at 22, say Jacksonville and Houston, 21-22. What's that deal look like? I don't know. I'd have to look at the picks. A lot. Ben Bowen. With the Vikings doing a lot of screen passes and short passes with the O-line blackout in space, I could see Vikings pick up a running back, tight end, wide receiver that did that a lot in college. Could you name a few candidates might fit the bill? Let's see here. Receiving running back. Oh, J.J. Taylor from Arizona. Dynamite one time. Antonio Gibson would be intriguing in that regard, where he's the wide receiver running back hybrid. The LSU running back. I'm really good with names today. Where he was really phenomenal as receiving back, especially in their modernized, spread passing offense this year. God, can't believe him. Oh, Edwards Alaire. There you go. So he could be available probably in the day 2-ish range. Again, scout the player, not the helmet, but he does give off a lot of Kevin Falkish vibes, which would be phenomenal there. So he would be a nice pickup if they go that regard. What's your take on Oregon State quarterback Jake Luton? So big dude. I think he's like 6'6", maybe 6'7", if he's an inch. Not an overly great arm. Okay accuracy. Day 3-ish. I feel like there's a whole bunch of quarterbacks that are in the day 3-ish mix. So Luton, as well as Stanley from Iowa, the Florida International kid, Gordon, the Hawaii kid. Yeah, I think there's just a whole bunch of the Princeton jabroni. I feel like there's a whole slew of 6'4", 6'5" day 3 quarterbacks that are just sort of take your Lewerke from Michigan State in there as well. Cyberblood123. Not a documentary, but one of the most interesting crime podcasts I've come across is Matthew Cox on the Concrete YouTube channel. Was on American Green, Reds and Saint Stories and Inmates Serve Time with. You should check it out. All right, so Matthew Cox used to be inside. We'll check that out. Top 5 favorite Vikings of all time. Just answered that one. What do you think about Quez Watkins? Watkins is there right for what? I don't understand this question. All right. Disbanded. Thoughts on Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois? I haven't done any work on him. There you go. So that's my thoughts. I have zero opinion. Oh, wait, no. He's the safety, right? He's the safety that they comp to Harrison Smith. I don't know. I would have to do more research before having an opinion on. Harris Riley Rudolph, pick 22. Jesus. Nah, I don't see that. That's a lot of moving parts. My 2 picks are Yetur Gross-Matos and AJ Terrell. What time does stream start? Starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. There you go. We said our piece about Gross-Matos, where it's not a great edge class, sure. Everyone and their mother wants to replace Everson, but I feel like there's so much more you could do at 22, especially since it is a thin edge class. I think you could probably ransom off that pick if Gross-Matos is available. AJ Terrell, I like, not over the moon for in terms of cornerback from Clemson. M Hudson 9. Who do you think is the best interior defensive lineman after Kinlaw Brown? Well, Blacklock, Gallimore, Elliott is up there as well, probably in that mix. Brett Versalis, what is your favorite documentary and why is it your favorite? Well, it goes in shifts. Obviously love the 30 for 30s. Yeah, the OJ one is still like really damn good. I think just like fun documentaries too, like the U is. I mean, that's phenomenal. Oh, also, I know this one hurts, but the 69 Vikings missing rings documentary that NFL Films did. Also, the 98 Vikings missing ring one. That one's tough. Like you can tell, like Chris Carter towards the end of the 98 one was he was still like very emotional about it. Like he almost was in tears on the set. And when he held up his hands like those giant mitts to make those sideline catches, like there was no ring on these fingers. We're just like, I feel you, man. I feel you. Charlie Mullins, Tiger King is something else. You know it's good, Doc, when it inspires endless memes. Have been watching Bleacher Report and Madden Sims for entertainment. Haven't been watching the Madden Sims, but yeah, like the main thing about anything now in pop culture is how many memes does it produce, and Tiger King is just certainly up there. Steve Patton. We all agree Madison is a talented back. I'm glad we have him. I did find it confusing. We drafted a running back with a similar skill set to Cook. I prefer Pollard last year for more versatility, but Cook. Well, Madison does definitely have a bit more power than Cook. So I think that Madison being used as a short yardage goal line type back is still in the wings. Also, who's your shifty running back, wing back dream? JJ Taylor. Dynamite. Did I call him JJ Nelson before? I may have, but he's a lot of fun. Should be there 6th, 7th round, like late day 3, just because of his size. But I mean, just because of his height, I mean, the term Darren Sproles gets thrown around a lot, but it's really applicable. Like Sproles, the best parts of Austin Eckler, say the best parts of Danny Woodhead as well. And he's just a really, really fun player. Alexander Garcia, what are your thoughts on analyst Booger McFarland? Well, Booger's really good on, say, like daytime TV. You know, the clips that I've seen. He's extremely knowledgeable about the game. Love his enthusiasm about it. I mean, being a commentator is just really hard. It is really hard. And I think we got jaded because Collinsworth is really good, but of course that's taken years. Aikman is really good. Of course that's taken years. I mean, we got spoiled by Tony Romo, who's just really naturally gifted at what he does. But yeah, I mean, Booger put in that spot. Well, the Booger Mobile, when it was him, Witten, and the play-by-play jabroni, it was. I mean, that was set up to fail. Like, I'm not really a fan. First off, I don't like the 3-man booth to begin with. Also, like when Fox keeps trying to shoehorn Greg Olsen in the booth, and here's Greg Olsen. Where it's like, man, they're giving so many concessions. Like when Greg Olsen was calling games of opponents that were coming up, I thought that was complete baloney. Like it's a whole nother tangent for another day. But I don't like the 3-man booth. Give me one color analyst. That's it. So I think Booger has gotten better since it's just him and was it Tessitore, whoever the play-by-play is guy. I think it's a tough spot for him because it's such a high-profile gig. It's obviously a gig that everyone wants. I mean, Romo was supposedly interested. ESPN obviously really wants Peyton Manning, and sort of a thankless job. I think it really is. But I like Booger. I think he's really good. But it's a tough spot. Gabe Sandin, top 5 pick or 2 late first-round picks? If you need a quarterback, top 5 pick in this draft, well, top 5 pick, if you're getting Young, Okudah, or Simmons, top 5. If not, give me the 2 firsts. Henrik Barlov. All right, so what is your top spot? What's your top barbecue spot in the Twin Cities? I asked you a while back, but couldn't find your old vid. I think you said it's Coon Rapids or Champlin. Yeah, so Q Fanatic in Champlin. The dude's like an old school, like French style chef. The brisket's really amazing. The ribs are really great. Like ribs are really good where you get that beautiful like black char on them, but they're not overcooked on the inside, which is tough to do. Really gotta go low and slow. So yeah, check that out. What's a fair extension for Harrison Smith, and will he offer to him? Can't let him play down on current deal. Like we said yesterday, Harrison Smith never struck me as a guy who is all about the money. Like even his extension didn't make him the high paid safety in the league, which certainly could have last time around. But I feel like a 4-year, $44 million somewhere in that ballpark would certainly be fair. Giving him a raise at that point, you're putting him in the top 7-ish in terms of safeties, and frankly, I think he'd be perfectly fine with that. Muhammad Abdul Latif, what's our 2-year plan for success? You got to hit this draft out of the park, man. You have to come away with at least 5 starters from this draft, preferably left tackle of the future, a decent starting cornerback, decent starting wide receiver, and then sprinkle in 2 other stars in there. Maybe you're doubling back on wide receiver and cornerback or offensive line. It all starts with this draft, because if this draft goes sideways and next season likely will go sideways as well, you're starting over. Trey Cousins, full-on rebuild, implosion. Let's go. Ryan Sullivan, did Carol kill her husband? Obviously. Pretty obviously. Foreign Savage 87. Have you ever watched the Indian murder mystery documentary about Sushil Singh? No. Is it the most famous documentary in India? Probably. Also, can you explain Holton Hill's situation under the new collective bargaining agreement? So I believe guys like Josh Gordon, guys like Holton Hill, they get grandfathered in. But it is extremely lax now with the new CBA in terms of testing for weed. Like now I think there's 1 test before training camp. We'll have to get into specifics of it. But yeah, I still think that Hill is under double secret probation for the time being. So, man, if you have him as penciled in as your starting cornerback, you better have good backups. That's all. Absa Abdi. Jalen Ramsey and a 2nd-round pick for the first pick, 25. No. Well, yeah, but also that it's not going to happen. Devontae Parker in Miami's 18th pick for Cook Riley and 25th pick. Now that Parker signed that extension, no. Which is more interesting to you? Oh, I'd say the Ramsey being given away by the Rams for 25. Yeah. Last one. Nelly Thorne. When do you think the Vikings will get serious and hire a real GM and head coach that can get to a Super Bowl? All right, so we're going to run through mock draft here as we can get this into frame. There we go. I'm good at stuff, technology and stuff. All right, so this is on the Draft Networks. And again, we like it because it goes fast. I want to go fast. Let's recap what's happened so far. Come on. All right, so there you go. Oh, wow. Wow. So this is anarchy. Like, what the hell's going on out here? So Chase Young won to Cincy, which, again, could happen. Maybe should happen. Because this could be like the 06 Mario Williams going one of the Texans when everyone thought the Texans were going to go Vince Young or Reggie Bush. Then 2, Clavon Chason goes to Washington. Wow. 3, Akuda to the Lions. Sure. 4, Simmons to the Giants. Wow. 5, Burrow falls to the Dolphins at 5, where it's just like, okay. Christian Fulton 6 to LSU. What is happening? What is going on this board? Oh my God. So, we talk about every single mock draft, how, sometimes things may or may not happen. Wow. All right. Wow. All right. So you see that Tua and Herbert are both available on the board. Wow. All right. Rest of the way. So Christian Fulton goes very early. Cornerback 2, LSU. Derek Brown, Wills, McKinney, Wirfs. Then the run on receivers 11 through 12. All 3 of them go. Becton, Thomas. Man, Kinlaw gets that far. Wow. All right. So if this happens, A, yeah. B, yeah. So, we're taking Tua. Because why the hell not at that point? But also, I think we could really ransom it off because it's obvious that the Patriots would be jonesing for some Tua time, especially given the fact Saban and Belichick go way back like chiropractic. Wow. All right, next up. I'm still in shock. I'm still in absolute shock. All right, so looking at the big board, wide receivers, Rieger's there, Jefferson's there, Chenault's there. Cornerback-wise, it got pretty picked over pretty quickly. So Igbinagene is there, son of the track star. Diggs, Terrell, Arnett, Jalen, Dancer. All right, so we're in okay shape letting cornerback go. Offensive line-wise, Oh man, they Josh Winogo, Jackson. Wow. Wow. All right, so yeah, we're definitely going wide receiver here. We're definitely going Jalen Reagor. So the fact that Tua just fell to the Vikings, where it's like, huh? What? I'm loving life right now. Loving every minute of it. Wow. It's amazing. All right, so looking at O-line, Austin Jackson's still on board. Ezra Cleveland's still on board. Probably could wait that out. Dancer, Hall. All right, so Jalen Johnson went. It's unfortunate. I'm going to go Bryce Hall. Like, we know our love for Bryce Hall. We're good to go there. Offensive line, Austin Jackson's still there chilling. Same thing with Ezra Cleveland, Matt Peart. So this is the Draft Network's player rankings. So we usually use their predictive board. So the fact that this is playing out the way it is, I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? All right, so let's look at the big board real quick. Sorry, I'm more than over the moon of getting Ezra Cleveland at this stage of the game. So Brian O'Neill clone. I mean, could kick him inside, but I prefer to start him at left tackle right away, get those growing pains out of the way, and then kick Reef into one of the guard spots. And also, I'm certainly circling back and grabbing one of these guards. I mean, I may even go Nathani Mooney at this point. So cornerback-wise, Lavert Hill is intriguing. Wide receivers, so Claypool's there, Pittman's there, TJ is there. Yeah, I'm going YOLO. I'm going on the big risk, big upside. Yeah. Nathani Mooney come on down. So right away, so you get Tua. So that's a win right away. You get Jalen Reagor, who game-breaking speed, as well as just great in the open field. I think really could be a nice little explosive piece for the Vikings. I mean, if you're looking to replace Diggs, I mean, Jalen Reagor is probably the closest facsimile in this draft. Bryce Hall, who I really like coming out of Virginia. And then you pick up two great offensive linemen who probably start day one. And now, coming back, look at the big board. I still can't believe. I mean, you could circle back on TJ for sure, which I'm going to do. So there, everyone else can suck it. Tyler Johnson, welcome on in. All right, so Tyler Johnson, Jalen Reagor coming on in and just competing right away, wide receiver 2-3 with BC Johnson, with Tajay Sharp. I mean, we're in good shape. John Simpson's still there. Okay. All right, so now we're looking around just for value. And all right, so I like Brooks. Just in terms, he is a sledgehammer. He is a strong safety type. But he could potentially fill in that Jaron Curse role. I mean, not as smooth in coverage as Jeromes, of course, was, but definitely a little bit more of a thumper. I mean, how did this happen? I mean, this is extremely unlikely just because teams would leapfrog the Vikings to trade up and get Tua. But what is going on? I am in shock. All right. Let's get some D-line. Davis. Guy James Lynch is there, of course. Edge guys. Gibson, sure. All right, so we're going to go Gibson. All right, this is the D-line round. So Gibson and, our guy James Taylor. Or not James Taylor. James Taylor. What songs did he sing? Whatever soft singer, songwriter songs. The big board again. Jennings, okay. We haven't circled back on cornerback yet. So we can take a look there. Okay. Yeah, go the Baylor kid. I mean, this is great. I'm already fired up. And in the 7th round, JJ's gone. JJ's gone with the wind. All right, so we want to take a running back. All right, we'll go Killins. Killins in the name of... And then let's grab a quarterback just for schnitz. Just to circle back. Yeah. The Heath Schuler, Gus Farrat route. So somehow, some way, Tua fell to 22, which, very unlikely. I don't want to say never going to happen because, we've chided jabronis who just talk in absolutes, but chances of Tua getting 22, like unless his other hip falls off, maybe. Jalen Reagor, I really like at 25. Bryce Hall coming in at cornerback. So Tua's not going to start, but essentially you're coming away with at least 4 to 5 starting players / key contributors, because I think Reagor starts right away, obviously. Same thing with Bryce Hall. Ezra Cleveland, left tackle of the future. Nathaniel Moody will grab one of the guard spots. Well, how nice it would be you have Moody competing against Drew Samia for one of the starting guard spots, or they both beat Riley Reef and then you just cut his ass, which would be great too. Tyler Johnson would be in the mix right away. Brooks Jr. potentially take over for Curse. And then we're just adding depth. So Arnold, the cornerback out of Baylor, Lynch from Baylor as well, Gibson, the edge guy from Tulsa, as well as Killens from UCF, and then our guy Mason Fine from North Texas, which, you know. All right, that's it. That's today's live stream. Again, Jeromes, thank you very much for coming in, hanging out, lighting up the live chat as well. You guys are the best. If you want to support the work, hit that join box down below. Become a monthly or platinum Jerome, just like $5. Toss in the hat. Help support independent media as we go along and somehow land Tua. Wow. Amazing time. Until next time, Skull, production value.